Okay, so this is the 4.5, 4.6 practice, graphing practice worksheet that you should have got on Friday. And the mini quiz on Monday will have a couple questions similar to these. So let's run through these kind of quickly here. In each case, we just want to find all of our key pieces. So first, we're going to look for our amplitude. And again, that's our A. So in this case, it would be 1/2. Then we're going to look for our midline. Okay, and that's right here. So that's going to be y equals 1. And then we're going to look for our period. Okay, and that's 2 pi divided by b. So in this case, that would be 2 pi divided by 3. Oh, ugly. That stings. All right, and then our x increment is going to be the period, right? Period divided by 4. And by period, I mean this period that we just found. So 2 pi divided by 3, or I'm sorry, 2 pi over 3 divided by 4, which is 2 pi divided by 3 times 1/4. So that's going to be 2 pi over 12, which is pi over 6. Which means that we're going to want to do when we do our graph over here, we're going to want to go pi over, that's what these, I think that's why these little dashes are here. I don't know, pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, and then we'll just say 6 pi over 6 pi. And then we need to find our start, green for start point. And again, we take what's inside our parentheses. So 3x equals 0. We're doing sine. So again, sine is 0 to 2 pi. So that means that x equals 0. And then our end. And this is what we're only being asked to graph one full period. Okay. Make sure you look on the test if it says to graph 2 periods. You'll still just graph 1 period and then just continue it on for another period. But anyway, so our end is going to be 3x equals 2 pi. So x equals 2 pi over 3. Let's convert that to 6. Just so that since that's what we labeled, so that would be what wouldn't that be 4 pi over 6? So on our graph over here, because notice we didn't reduce our fractions at all. So 4 pi over 6, which is also 2 pi over 3. That's our ending point. Now this is sine, right? So sine starts at the midline, and our midline. Let's come back up here. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. I'm going to say this is 1 and this is 2, right? -1. So our midline is along this point right here, right? You don't have to draw the midline in there. I'm just doing that so you know where it is. So our midline is there at 1. We start at the midline. We're starting from 0, and we're going to go to 4 pi over 6 or 2 pi. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to start at 0. Starts at the midline. What was my amplitude, right? My amplitude is 1/2, so it's a good thing I kind of spaced it out that way. So I'm only going to go up 1/2. Now I'm going to go from my x increments were pi over 6. So here I'm going up 1/2. So I go midline to maximum, back down to midline, then to minimum, and then back to midline, and I'm at my finish point. Again, our x increments were pi over 6. So I'm going every pi over 6, I'm going to go from midline to max, back down to midline, down to minimum, and then end. And that's 1 period. All right, there's number 1. I probably could have gone a little quicker on that. All right, so number 2, this is going to be cosine. Do note the negative here. We're going to worry about that at the end. But let's get our key pieces here. Our amplitude, right? Amplitude is absolute value of A. So it's not -1. Our amplitude is 1. Next thing is our mid, and there's nothing here. So our mid is y equals 0. Next would be our period, and our period is going to be 2 pi over b, and our b is 1/2. So this is going to be 2 pi over 1/2 equals 2 pi times 2 equals 4 pi. So our period stretches out. Instead of going from 0 to 2 pi, it's going to be from 0 to 4 pi. And then our x increments, we take that 4 pi and divide it by 4. So our x increments are pi. So every pi, we're going to be kind of going through that. Let's do this. Let's just go ahead and do our start up here. And again, for our start, we're going to take 1/2 x plus 3 pi over 4 equals 0. So 1/2 x equals negative 3 pi over 4. X equals negative 3 pi over 2, because I've multiplied both sides by 2. And then our end is going to be 1/2 x plus 3 pi over 4 equals 2 pi. So 1/2 x equals, it would be that 5 pi. So that would be 8 pi minus 3 pi, right? This is 8 pi over 4 minus 3 pi over 4. I'm just doing the basic math here, because some of you seem to have trouble with that in its fractions. So this is 5 pi over 4, multiply both sides by 2. So x equals 5 pi over 2. That's my finish point. So my x increments are pi, and I'm going out to 4 pi, yeah. I'm starting at negative, but I'm going to use pi over, I need to go pi over 2 though, right? I think so. Pi over, yeah. So let's go by pi over 2 as far as our, even though our increments, but we get, since these are all pi over 2, that's there and that's there. Let's just make this. So this is going to be pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 4 pi over 2, and 5 pi over 2. I can stop there because that's my ending place. My start is at, let's see, this is negative pi over 2, negative 2 pi over 2, and negative 3 pi over 2. That's my starting point. And then its cosine. So normally cosine would start at its maximum, and we're going to make this as 1 and this is negative 1. So normally cosine would start at its maximum, would go down to the midline, go down to its minimum. But, and this is a big but here, we said this is negative cosine, which means instead of starting at our maximum, I'm going to start at my minimum down here. So at negative 3 pi over 2, I'm starting there. I'm going pi, okay? That's pi over 2. This is pi, right? Pi over, let me do this. Pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, that's pi. So that is my my x increment here, right? And then I'm going to go to my maximum. And then I'm going to come back to my midline. And then I'm going to finish. Oh, how did my spacing get off? Oh, that's why. Oops. I have to go pi, right? I have to go all the way over here. And then come down to here and then finish here. Okay? So I got to just make sure that I'm being very careful about those x increments. Okay? The distance between, that's not a very good graph. Is my spacing right? Yes, my spacing's okay. It just looks a little bit funky. All right. Just try doing maybe one more before. Clean that up. Get that out of there. Try to do one or two more before we take a break. Okay, so tangent. Let's get our key components here. So our amplitude, 1. Our midline, y equals 0. Our period, pi over b. Well, b is 1, so just pi. So this one's looks pretty straightforward. All I really have is, let's get our x increments. X increment is pi divided by 4. Oh, this is what makes it ugly. All right, so for my asymptote, I'm going to go x plus pi over 6 equals pi over 2. And, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go negative. I think you can do one of two ways. You can either go from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, or if you look at the key, I think the key has going from pi over 2 to 3 pi over 2. This is what I'm used to doing, so I'm going to go and do that. So this is going to be x equals, let's see, pi over 2 would be, so that'd be negative 3 pi over 6 minus pi over 6. So x equals negative 4 pi over 6. Oh, whoops, wait a minute. Oh, back up. Bad math. Oh, no. What's wrong with my math? Nothing wrong. Okay. Let's go back to 3 pi over 6 minus pi over 6 minus 4 pi over 6. Should I leave it in 6? I don't know. Decide here in a minute. And then so let's go with my other asymptote. So start. So that's 1. Let's start and end. So x plus pi over 6 equals pi over 2. So x equals 3 pi over 6 minus pi over 6. Yeah. So x equals 2 pi over 6. Let's see. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go pi over 6. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, negative pi over 6, negative 2 pi over 6, and negative 3 pi over 6, negative 4 pi over 6. Now, I mean, I know like when in a lot of stuff they say, reduce it down. There's no reason to reduce it down, and we need to keep it kind of cool here. Oh, I see my x increments are pi over 4. Yeah, let's just keep going this way. Let's see, negative 4 pi over 6. Okay, and 2 pi over 6. Okay. Oh, I see. Let's see. We go 1, because halfway between these two, let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, yeah, no. Right? This is halfway in between. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Here's the only part that kind of becomes a little bit tricky is that our asymptote was 1. This is tangent. So this has come up here, 1 and negative 1. So to know where that is, it's halfway between this mid point here, where our graph crosses the midline, and our asymptote. So halfway in between is going to be right here, which is pi over, pi over 12, right? So we can come up here and we can go pi over 12. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to go halfway between here and here, which is pi over 12, 2 pi over 3 pi over 12, and I'm going to come down here. I think this is fine. All right, and then this is really kind of stretched out, but I think it's good. Yeah, all right. We got all of our key. The main thing is to get our that point where our graph crosses the midline, okay, and making sure we get our asymptotes, and then making sure our spacing is correct, and then making sure that these 2 points where our asymptotes are in between that where our graph crosses the midline and the asymptotes. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more, and then I'm going to take a break. Okay, asymptote is 1/2. Midline is y equals 1. Period is pi divided by b, so that's pi over 2. That's our b. Asymptote, midline. X-intercept is going to be pi over 2 divided by 4, pi over 2 times 1/4, pi over 8. Okay, our asymptote, our first asymptote, 2x equals 0, because again, it goes from 0 to pi over 2. So x equals 0, and then our ending asymptote is 2x equals pi, so x equals pi over 2. All right, so let's draw in those asymptotes. Here, I'm going to do it in red so you can actually see it. Here's one asymptote at x equals 0, and the other asymptote, I'll stretch this out, pi over, let's see, our increments are pi over 8. So pi over 8, 2 pi over, let's draw that in. Pi over 8, 2 pi over 8, 3 pi over 8, 4 pi over 8, which is pi over 2, so it's our other asymptote. Pi over 8 equals pi over 2. That's why. And that's our ending point. All right. Our midline is 1. I'm just going to faintly draw it in here. We'll go up here. Right? Y equals 1. And then, so let's draw in in between our asymptote, halfway in between, that would be right here at pi over 4. And then what was our asymptote was 1/2. So, and this is cotangent, so it goes from upper left. So I'm going to come up here 1/2, and we come down here 1/2. So this is 1, this is 1.5, this is 0.5. Okay. Draw something like this.